Sherman,
Here.
Glass,
Yes.
Heaton, Smith,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Hanson,
Here.
Fisher.
Yes. Okay, financial statements from August 2020.
Okay, so talk about the financial statements through August of 2020. Cash balance is $203,000. That's what's available in the pooled cash fund. We have 2 CDs totaling $428,000. Year to date, so this is going to be for July and August of this year, we have collected $114,320 in revenue, and we've had $68,817 in expenses, giving us a net income of $45,500. We'll talk about revenue for that. You can see that we've got the $25,000. That's the $25,000 for the contract with the college for the soccer and softball fields that they lease from us. And then we've had some youth sports activities. Looks like a little bit of gymnasium rental and a tiny bit of concession stand revenue that make that up. You can see sales tax transfers, total about $83,650. We have been staying pretty consistent with budget as far as our budgeted sales tax revenue. For the city, we've been just a little bit shy of our budgeted amount, which is about 5% down, which I am feeling very good about. I keep talking with the finance committee. I hope that that continues. I know we do have September's revenue in, and it's a little bit further down. It's about 14% down from budget. It's up from September of last year. We're staying consistent with where we were last year, even above last year, but as far as what we budgeted, we're down a little bit, and so we'll just have to see how things go. There's a lot of ebb and flow there, so we'll just keep making adjustments as necessary. That's what our supervisors have been doing as a revenue comes in. If it comes in under revenue, we're just kind of adjusting our expenses down to keep everything in line as well. So let's look at expenses for through August of this year. Our salaries, we've had about $35,000 in salaries year to date. Salaries and benefits year to date. Materials and supplies, we've got about $3,400 in materials and supplies expenses. Not had a whole lot there, honestly, but that's going to be things, like concession supplies, supplies to keep the facility running. So we haven't had as many things going on, so those expenses aren't going to be as high. Our other services and charges were about $14,500. If you'll look in the encumbrance column for that category, we've got a negative $5,000. What that means is we had $5,000 of expenses this year that were actually from last year's budget. So really, what impacts the budget this year, we'd say is roughly around $10,000. And those are our expenses that we don't have a lot of control over: insurance, utilities, things like that. They're pretty set. You can see there on our building payment, we have made our final building payment for the loan there. So it was a little bit more than what we anticipated. Just that final payment, it was about $16,000, but we are done making that payment. So that's a nice accomplishment there. Encumbrances, we have about $15,000 of encumbrances as it sits right now. I don't think that's right. Oh, no, it is.
Where are you at?
On the encumbrance page.
Oh, you got it.
It's page number 4. You do it right there. I'm looking at that. One of those encumbrances, I'm just noticing it now, is for BJCC. That's what we would pay to have our inmate crew. That's from last year. That actually needs to be voided. It needs to come off of there. We haven't been getting inmates since COVID happened. And we haven't budgeted to get inmates in this year at all, so that will come off of there. We don't anticipate that we'll be getting inmates really this year, so. If we look at the expenses year-to-date, through August, pretty much everything that you see there are typical expenses. We've got, our AT&T bills, we've got some dental insurance, some maintenance, property maintenance supplies at the co-op, payroll expenses in there. I'm just kind of going through. Courtney, we don't have anything, that I'm aware of that is been out of the ordinary. I know a couple of things that we've got coming up. We are going to go ahead and have the floor in the gymnasium redone. That was done this weekend. So,
But it wouldn't have been in this.
yeah,
It's not in this.
it wouldn't be in this financial statement. So a couple upcoming expenses. Do you guys have any questions on the financial statements?
I'm checking something first.
What is the night physical therapy, what is that?
That's our, they do the
The fit test
fit
for us.
test for new employees. They have to do drug tests and a fit test to make sure that they aren't gonna drop it.
Well, in the fit test, basically, we give them a job description and they test them to make sure that they're going to be able to physically do what's required in that job description.
Is the SPI stuff, is that encumbered for multiple months?
Yes, so some of that could be for, yes.
'Cause if we're paying $3,700 a month for phones, we
No,
really need
we're
to change
not.
some plans here. Because that's what I was looking at, is back in February, we paid them only like $500 for the entire month.
And that is true, so we had gotten behind on that bill.
Okay.
And so one of the things that we've been able to do is get caught up on our bills. I know cash flow has been an issue in the past. We are able to pay all of our bills. Every time we cut checks, we're cutting a check for every bill that's currently receipted. So there could be some, just with the way this fell in here, that we are working to get things caught up and we're in a much better situation than what we had previously been. And I can go back specifically and look at that, Brandon, but I know that there was, at the beginning of this year, we paid a bunch of SPI bills. So.
Any other discussion on the financials?
Motion to approve the August financials.
Second? Been moved and seconded to approve the financials. Roll call vote.
Matt, did you second?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Glass?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes. Replacement.
So I included a few things in here. After our last meeting, Shane had asked us to go back and I think it was tier 1 that was, they had said they'd like to go back to our insurance company. They wanted to see if we could get a roof replacement. And so, per Shane wanting us to do that, we went back and did that, and they were able to get that accomplished for us. The insurance company, they paid for the engineers to put specifications together for the engineer to handle the bidding out process and to oversee the roof installation to their specifications. So that's all covered in our insurance claim as well. So we worked with Myers, who's our engineer, to put some information together. The insurance company will only pay to go back with specifically what is currently there. So one of the things in talking with the insurance company, and the engineer. They had concerns about, I didn't print the right paper. I may take a quick break and go to Courtney's computer and print. I printed the wrong thing, I'm very sorry. Basically, the insurance company will only pay to go back with what we have, which is an exposed fastener system on the roof. What Myers, our engineering company, would see is they'd like to see what that is to go back. They did it in 2 phases, to do a bid on going back with that exposed system or going back with a locking system, which would be an upgrade. So it would be 2 phases, and we could see is it on there? No, it's not. Oh, it is right there. Okay, so they'd like to see us have them do an alternate bid for a new super lock roof system to see what that looks like. When talking with Bill at Myers Engineering, he feels like, and also Courtney and I visited with Brian Miller, our fire chief, a little bit, just because he's got some knowledge there. But if we put that same roofing system back in, he feels like we're going to be sitting in another 20 years, we're going to be sitting here having the same conversation. And with this super lock roof system, it is supposed to have a better longevity. We're not going to have the pulling up of screws and things like that. But Chad, I know you and Greg both have done some work there. I know you guys all have a variety of experience. I'd be interested to see what you guys think, if we should go back with the same system, or do we want to see? We don't have to have an alternate bid out, but what is the thought process?
Chad, the super locks it like it's standing the same? Yeah. Okay. It's a better roof. Yeah.
I mean, right now, as it stands, we're going to pay a $2,500 deductible, and they're going to put the roof back as is, essentially. That's all we're going to have to pay. This gives us the ability to look at it and see if we want to upgrade that roofing system. Which I'm not opposed to looking at it and see what it's going to cost us. We don't have to go with it. We don't have to do that at all. We can go back and put that same roof down and just pay our $2,500 deductible and not have, address it later on.
Chad, did the sidewalls on Main Street need to be replaced as well? Yeah. And then it's not in the bid.
It is not in the bid because the insurance company will not pay for that. We would have to pay for that outright, which we have the quote that Erickson Steel gave us in May, which is what I included there, of $9,700. And we could have that quote out by a handful of different companies to get a variety of quotes as well. It doesn't have to be Erickson Steel, but that's who we have. But I'd like to see us do all of that at the same time.
I'm confused. This bid is from Erickson?
Yes,
That's the sidewalls.
that's just the sidewalls.
That's for the bids.
And that's why I included it, is because we know we're probably going to look at $10,000 to do that and then have it all done at the same time, in my opinion.
So $12,500 is all we'll be out to get it all done.
Yes,
The
yes.
way it is now.
As it stands now. Which the engineering company, they're just encouraging us to look at another option to see what that's going to cost us, because if it's something that we can do, it would be better, in my opinion, to do it that way.
So the insurance company's going to pay no matter what it costs, as long as we go back to the same thing?
As long as we go back with the same thing, they want us to bid it out, and they want to review the bids and make sure that, they're not out of line before they issue the check. Is that something that's common, Brandon? Okay.
Yeah, especially for bigger projects like that.
So are they going to replace the insulation, pay to replace the insulation also?
Yeah, I think that was in here.
Yes,
It
and
might have been on this,
it's on the page that I didn't print.
But I asked the same question.
It's going to replace the insulation and the guttering as well.
Yeah.
Which the guttering needs to be replaced.
So does this.
So what did Myers do on this? Did this reprint what they did from the get-go?
And they did. There's a bid packet of like 167 pages.
So, I'm not high on Myers, they're the ones that did it the first time. So I don't know why we would use them other than other cities.
That's who the city is contracted through. That's our city engineer, Greg.
The roof, it shouldn't be that difficult.
I mean, either way you go, whether it's a standing seam or an arc.
What was the guess, standing seam will cost, addition, labor the same,
Well,
less,
it'd be a little higher,
higher?
because it's 12-inch coverage instead of 3 foot, so you really have triple the top volume.
What's, so we gotta look at the standing seam.
So you feel like we should do the alternate bid as well?
Get bids on those.
Okay. I mean, we'll go through the standard process of bidding it out. Usually, you know, we'll send out the bids and it'll take 3 to 6 weeks to get the bid packet back in. We'll schedule another meeting, have you guys review the bid packet and decide what you want to do, what we can afford to do, what we want to do, and come back from there. I would say that I was expecting more as well, Greg, is why we delayed the meeting. We probably could have had this conversation at our regularly scheduled meeting, and I apologize, I probably won't make that mistake again, but.
So I have a question, because I don't know about the insurance stuff. But you have the base bid and then you have the alternate bid. So do we know the base bid cost that they will, so say the alternate bid comes in a lot higher than, do we know the amount that they will?
The insurance company?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so basically what usually happens, of course, I didn't think they'd cover the thing in the first place, so that was a shock to me, but municipal is different. Anyway, what usually happens, especially if it's replacement cost, is they'll pay exactly what it takes to do the original roof. And if you want to, like, if you were doing it on your house and you're like, you know what, I want
Right.
50-year shingles and not 30, you pay the difference.
Right, so, but do they know?
Yeah, that's what the base bid is. We have to do the base bid and the alternate, and then they're going to
Okay,
take the
okay.
base bid number
And
and
they're.
subtract that
Okay.
from the alternate, probably.
And correct me if I'm wrong, when I talked to the gentleman from OMAG, I mean, they want to review it to make sure that the bids that we get aren't completely out of line, that they're not just snowballing us. Because say we get one bid and it's way over what they think it is, they could say, well, we're only going to cover
Yeah,
this.
yeah. They don't have to take the bid that we choose. They can pick
So
the
there's
bid
a
that
chance
we
that that
want.
alternate bid could be paid in full, and then
No.
we just pay the $2,500?
I would venture,
If the alternate bid comes in at the same level as the base bids, then yeah,
maybe so.
then they would pay a difference. But, I would even say that if it came in close, they might go ahead and upgrade it, but we're only talking
Yeah.
maybe within a couple percent,
But before we would come back to this meeting, I would have the insurance adjuster look at it and give me the information on what they're willing to pay, and then we would come back. So I'd like to think that we would be able to probably have a special meeting in October. I don't know, as far as getting started on it, I don't know what that looks like, but that would be part of the bid documents as well, so. As long as you all are okay with going through with both the base bid and the alternate bid, that's really what I need from you guys. And then, do you want us to get some additional quotes on doing the exhaust fans for your consideration, or are you guys just comfortable with Courtney and I making a decision on that?
Should we just do away with exhaust?
Yes, that's the plan.
That's what this is.
That's what this
Yeah,
is.
but there's also the sidewalls.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sidewalls.
yes,
Yeah.
exhaust,
I mean, we need to replace the sidewalls, so the exhaust fans when they go anyway.
yes.
Right, but basically, do you want us to go out and look for other bids on that, or are you guys happy with us just making a
Well, I think
decision
we ought
on
to
it?
have other bids on. I mean, if we're gonna bid the other stuff out, might as well.
That's what I wanted to know,
Okay,
Greg.
okay.
That's what I wanted to know. When we'll bring those back at the same time that we've got the bids back as well, so. And I will push a little bit harder next time. I apologize on that. I'll live and learn on that one. So.
I think that if we do different bids on this, no matter who we do on the sidewalls, if we do that, it needs to be done at the same time as the roof.
Yes.
The same, I think the same people.
I think the same
Yeah,
people would do that.
because if you don't, then you got a leak, somebody's gonna say, well, that's his fault,
Yeah.
and that guy's gonna say, no, it's their fault. It needs to be the same
Exactly.
people.
So you think it should be the same people that do the roof?
Oh, yeah.
Because right now, I'll tell you, that I don't think you have a roof problem, I think you have a wall problem. I've said that from day one.
Well,
And even though we're getting a new roof, that's great, but that's not gonna solve the problem, as far as I'm concerned.
would you, but,
So, fixing the side, if you don't do them at the same time, what Greg's saying is the guy that does the roof's gonna blame the guy on the wall. If we have a leak, the guy that puts the roof on is gonna say the guy that put the wall on messed it up.
I think
So
we've got
really this
overall
needs to
problems.
be-
I don't think it's just an exhaust problem because we have leaks on the west side.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include where those are.
Chad, have you been up there the last couple of years? They're rusted. The screw heads, yeah, so I mean, I know what you're saying, but
So-
Yeah, the original leak.
right.
10 years
But
ago.
the roof is in bad shape.
Right.
so ultimately, I think what I'm hearing is this really needs to be an alternate on the roof bid as well.
Correct.
We need to add it as like maybe an option number 3 on the roof bid, and we can, because then we can select, we want the base bid plus option number 3, or we want to do the alternate bid plus option number 3. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? We know the insurance company is not gonna cover this part regardless.
Right.
Okay, so,
I-
don't we have leaks around the windows and the sidewalk?
Yes. I think some of my opinion, and now I'm not a professional about this, but I think a lot of that's a guttering issue as well. Because if you look at the front of our building where those bricks are, you can tell that's coming right down through that gutter and that's coming through the wall as well.
So, I guess, does it do any good to redo all the walls while we're doing it? You know, it's gonna cost us money, but do all the walls need to be replaced? I mean, with the water issue we have on the west side, what do you think, Courtney? I'm not a carpenter, I'm just asking.
I know that our window areas are in pretty bad shape. I mean, you can obviously.
So it's really the insurance that would address that too, right? Wrong?
They're not saying that it's part of, they don't believe that it's part of the roof issue. I can ask if we can,
But it's part of the building.
I can ask if we can do a claim on that. I mean, we're already this far in. The adjusters, he's been very good to come out and has been very quick, so I can call and ask. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, we can discuss it again.
I hate to keep pushing off, but you're right, we're gonna do one.
Especially since we got leaks coming through the wall somewhere.
And we've already waited this long at this point in time. So you want me to go back to the insurance company and ask them,
Have them come take a look at our windows and those west walls.
do you feel like they're, I mean, is that gonna be a separate claim? Is that something that they,
Depends on how they rule it. If they consider it part of the roof leaking into the wall, then no, it won't be a separate claim because it's the same damage from the same problem.
they'll just,
But if they rule it as new damage or different damage from what the roof is doing, then they may make another claim on it.
I mean, at the least, we could do this wall.
okay. Because we don't necessarily have issues on the east side or the,
It's the windows, isn't it?
Yeah. If every place you go, we've got a window or a door, yeah.
You don't feel like re-hanging the windows.
We'll put a new trim around it. You're gonna have to take the wall.
I mean, in worst case, if the insurance won't do anything, you think that's something you can do, is
Yeah.
re-hang those windows.
Do new trim.
so essentially you want to table what we've got here and go back to the insurance company for the other additional water damage? Not necessarily, but at the same time, say that again,
We don't
Greg.
want to stop progress.
I just didn't know if it's gonna be better to do one bid on everything. Because is it gonna be this, I'm asking, you guys know better, is it gonna be the same company who's gonna do it all? Or is it going to be,
Like a roofing company or.
I think it'd be one person to keep the bid for everything.
Can we not include it as an option 4?
maybe?
Since we have the specs for the entire building on the engineering anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could send that out and then ask the insurance company, and then we have an option 4. If the insurance company says no, we know what it's gonna cost to do it ourselves,
That's true.
and we're not slowing ourselves down. If the insurance company says, yeah, we'll cover it, okay, here's our bid.
And are we talking window replacement, or are we talking the entire wall replacement? I just wanna make sure I'm understanding correctly.
Are the windows themselves in bad shape? Then I would say we should replace the windows. I don't know, that's my opinion.
I think if you replace the window, I think
If
you
you're
have to
going
do
this- if
something
you're
with
going
those
this
walls though,
deep.
because I think there's gonna be a lot of mold and everything in those walls.
And that's something they're not gonna be able to do until they get into it.
Yeah, sure, I mean,
They're gonna be able to build, replacing the insulation and the panels and the windows. But what you find inside the walls is hard ground.
Plus you were just replacing the section underneath where the windows are. Is that possible?
And it's not gonna look right.
No, it's not. A bulldozer?
we just paid it off, we need to start. Okay. All right. So windows and the whole wall, the whole west panel, basically, okay. Okay.
Do we need specific action on that? Do you want to,
I,
somebody make the motion and then you read what you have for a motion?
what did you say, Joel?
Somebody make the motion and then you read what you have for the motion?
We can do that, yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so I have, discussion, do I, oh, I need a second, I guess.
Almost second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the current bid specs, but add an option for the sidewalls, an option to replace the windows and the panel on the west side of the building.
I would say only the sidewalls and the
The upper sidewalls.
upper side.
Okay, so a motion and a second to approve the bid specs, but add an alternate build for the upper sidewalls and the windows and the windows and panel on the west side of the building. Okay. So I have Glass,
Yeah, roll call vote. Great.
Yes, I'm sorry.
that's okay. Fisher,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Anything else? Then we're adjourned.